Hello everyone, my name is Thor and welcome back to Anthropology. Thank you for joining me in today's video. I hope it is an exciting one for you. We're going to be talking about the Dior scandal that seems to be shaking the luxury community right now, where Italian prosecutors essentially did an investigation into the subcontractors that Dior uses in Italy to manufacture a lot of their bags, and they found some things that were a bit unsavory and not fitting of a premier luxury house. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. If you're interested in this type of content, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Please like this video if you like it. Share your comments down below. I'm curious to know what you all think of this scandal, what it means for Dior, what it means for LVMH, what it means for the luxury community as a whole and the industry, and also just generally some other sources that have been touching on this. And has luxury lost its luster? Has the veneer of luxury sort of been peeled back and now we can see what it truly is? So that's what we're going to be getting into today. Grab a drink, grab a snack, fold your laundry, do whatever you need to do, but let's get into it. Okay, so I'm a little bit late to the game, I would say, but Dior was recently under investigation by Italian prosecutors in basically where they were trying to figure out what is going on at Dior and is this a part of a larger issue. Apparently in April of this year, Armani Group was under the similar investigation by Italian prosecutors, whereby they were looking into the supply chains and the human rights conditions of the workers that are working in these, I guess, sweatshops in Italy. Now, the main headline, I guess, is that they found that through these subcontractors, Dior was paying around 57 USD to manufacture some of their bags and then charging over a 48 times markup on that same bag for retailing at around $2,800. So basically paying $57 for it to be created, for the raw materials, all that goes into it, and then selling it for 48 times the price that they paid, which is an insane markup. But at the end of the day, the luxury industry, raw materials can only cost so much, and Tanner Leatherstein on TikTok, on YouTube, on social media does a very good job at breaking down the raw material cost of what it would cost to make some of these leather goods, and does the prices they charge match essentially the quality of a good that they are providing from just a very objective standpoint around material production, around creation of the bag, and stuff like that. So essentially, a Milan court named LVMH owned Dior and Giorgio Armani as two brands whose products were made in sweatshop-like conditions in Italy. Now, this is nothing new. This type of, I guess, exploitation of workers has been renowned with the fashion industry, is sort of synonymous almost, unfortunately. And this was really raised in the 2007 book Deluxe, Luxury Losing Its Luster by Dinah Thomas. And she raised a lot of the similar complaints or rumors around the luxury industry and their production capabilities, their production facilities in parts of Europe that essentially use illegal migrant labor, primarily with workers from Asia, China specifically, in factories in Italy. So it's essentially getting a made in Italy product for made in China prices and made in China conditions. And it really puts into question, what are you paying for when you buy a luxury good? And this is not to say that this problem is just with Dior and just with Armani. This is probably an industry-wide situation whereby a lot of these brands are utilizing subcontractors in a way that is unethical. And they sort of have created this distance from the production of their goods, whereby they're utilizing subcontractors who manage their own facilities. And I guess they're not doing their own due diligence when it comes to sourcing, when it comes to vendor management, when it comes to ethical supply chains. And I think that pulls into question, what are you paying for with the high price? Because raw materials can only cost so much, meaning a bag from a raw materials perspective can only cost so much. From a brand positioning and marketing perspective, it also pulls into question, well, if you're paying $2,700, $2,800 for a bag, you would assume that the workers who make the bag were paid fairly for their time, for their artisanal creation. However, there's been like a cheapening of luxury goods recently. I think it's like as luxury has shifted away from being more niche, being more catering specifically to an elite clientele, to now it's become more of like a mass consumption. It's been essentially mass produced. Like Burberry is a good example of this, where a lot of their stuff, it just looks like it's made for mass consumption. Hermes has sort of shifted away in its own lane, where becoming its ultra exclusive. But a lot of these other brands, it seems like they're catering to a mass audience as opposed to an elite niche audience, and thereby they've had to up their production, up their, profit margins, because a lot of these companies are publicly owned and shareholder value seems to be the only value they care about, not for their consumers. I'm curious to know what you all think. What do you pay for now when you buy a bag? Are you paying for the goods? Because that's clearly, with all the price increases that we've seen, but the quality of the bags have, if anything, gone down. The quality of like the goods have gone down. So it's like there seems to be an increasing disparity and disconnect between the prices that are being charged and the prices that are being commanded by these luxury houses and the quality of the good that we're getting. And I think it used to be that there was a luxury house became synonymous with elite quality, with the upper echelon of a product category. And now Coach is an amazing example where I have become a fairly regular Coach shopper, I would say. And the quality of the leather that I can feel, great. The price point, fantastic. The quality of the overall good, very good. And obviously it's like that pulls into question, well, how much are they charging to make these goods? Like, are their production facilities ethical? However, they cannot be at this rate according to this court injunction, according to this investigation. They can't be very different than what the luxury houses are doing. If Dior is utilizing sweatshop-like conditions to manufacture some of their elite goods, it seems like they can't be very different than Coach, but the price point that we're paying is significantly different. That also pulls into question now the legitimacy of other houses. If this is two houses have already been named in this injunction, in this investigation, Giorgio Armani and Dior. So I'm assuming then this will translate over to Louis Vuitton, this will translate over to Chanel, Celine. Like, where will this pull into question the reputation of all luxury houses, of the luxury industry as a whole, whereby if you're only charging $57, if you're only paying $57 to make a bag, as like Dior is, but then you're charging $2,800, that bag is clearly not worth even remotely close to that amount. In addition, LVMH was named as one of the most ethical companies in terms of sustainability and human rights, and the rights of the workers that make the product fall into that sustainability, because you cannot have a full ethical clear supply chain if part of it is down in the dumps and the other part is being paid for by carbon credits. Like, it doesn't really work like that. So I'm very curious to know what you all think. Will this impact luxury as a whole? Will people just turn a blind eye as they normally do and just carry about their business? But if now we know it costs $57 to create a book tote and they charge almost $3,000 for it, it really makes you look sideways, and you're like, well, why don't I just buy the Amazon version? Just because we're paying for the branding, just because we're paying for the marketing. And I feel like maybe before the pandemic, the luxury industry, the luxury shopping experience was very different. It was much more targeted. It was much more, you felt like you were really getting an exclusive product. Like, you're really paying for like the name, the quality. But now it seems like there's been a hyper commodification of luxury. You have to wait in lines. It's sort of very transactional now. It's like you can buy it online. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's lost its appeal. And I felt this myself. I went shopping in Las Vegas for my bachelor party recently. Nothing really spoke to me. It all just sort of looked like stuff. I feel like they're just churning out product after product after product after product after product, trying to get a buck. So I also want to touch on another part of this around the made in Italy, made in France, made in Europe type appeal that these brands really host and really offer to consumers, whereby now I feel like it's an illusion, because if they're using illegal migrant labor for workers from China to work in Chinese-owned manufacturing centers in Italy, is there any difference then in terms of a product made in Italy by Chinese sweatshops or in China by Chinese sweatshops? Is it all just an illusion? And I feel like also, so Dana Thomas mentions this in her book as well, it's all just a categorization of the branding of how we feel as a consumer about the product's country of origin. China has become synonymous with fast, cheap labor. Think Shein, Shein is like a great example, Temu, all these companies that have created things so quickly and so cheaply for Western consumers primarily. Whereby now all of these factories, or not all of them, but a majority of these factories, it seems, in Italy are utilizing illegal migrant labor from China to create duplicate scenarios whereby it's like a Chinese sweatshop in Italy is no different than a Chinese sweatshop in China, but they're creating different types of goods for different consumers. You know, it's like basically the same. If it costs $57 for them to churn out one of these bags in a factory, then the concept of made in Italy sort of means nothing. Another part of this around like, well, then why do people even buy luxury if it's basically no different than products produced for Amazon? And it basically comes down to humans' ability to overestimate the good parts of a product while underestimating the bad parts of it. And essentially, at the end of the day, luxury houses sell a product physically, but they primarily sell a lifestyle in our imaginations of who we are when we buy these products, who we are when we own these products, who we are when we wear these products. It's more so about other people at this point, conspicuous consumption, which is why I think, you know, like quiet luxury also exists in this realm. But primarily, you could buy a leather good from a no-name brand and you could buy a leather good from like Loro Piana. Why would you pay 50 times the price for one when they could be similar quality? They could be made in similar factories. They could be made in similar working conditions. We have this ability to overestimate that because a product costs a lot more, because a product is from a place of prestige, it is inherently better than another product, when their origins could be exactly the same. So I think this investigation will really shed a lot of light and remove a lot of the veil around luxury, and I think it'll take a lot of work from Dior's PR team to rejig this whole situation and rectify what they've, you know, hidden away for so long. And I think it'll take a while, or it'll take something to regain the consumer's trust in that they are buying an elite product. They are buying a product at the top of the product category, because the prices that we're seeing now being charged to create the product are really, really, really different than the prices that are being charged to own this product. So very curious to see what Dior's PR team will do. And so I'm wondering, from your opinion, can they salvage this? I mean, speaking for myself, I have really lost a lot of the desire to shop luxury. I think because I'm seeing like the prices are just absolutely astronomical, and there's been so much work around, I guess, like on the back end of bringing a lot of what the production costs are to light. It's very hard to justify as a consumer to be like, well, why don't I just like get a $57 version from DHgate? Why don't I just get a version that is similar but without the branding from Amazon? Because at the end of the day, clothing, garments, everything is functional primarily. It's meant to be worn, it's meant to be utilized, and design can be secondary in some cases, primary for some people in other cases. But it really pulls into question why, I guess, as a consumer, we're purchasing these goods, if they're really not worth that much, and if they're potentially being detrimental to the people that are making them, to the people that are producing them for us. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this will impact your view of the luxury industry, of like shopping luxury? Do you think this pulls into question the quality of the goods that we're purchasing? I think the disparity between price and quality has really been expanding significantly, especially throughout the pandemic with all the different price increases and whatnot. Chanel is a great example. Over $10,000 to $15,000 for a classic flap now, and it's like the CCs are falling apart. Like, girl, I don't know. Like, get your quality sorted and pay your people right. So that's my video. Bit rambly, but I wanted to lend my voice because 2 years ago, I really started like looking into this topic around luxury, the veneer behind it, and the veil being lifted. So we'll definitely recommend that book by Dana Thomas, and that came out in 2007, you guys. So that's been like a hot minute, well before this investigation took place. So that's my video. Let me know what you think. I know a lot of other luxury YouTubers have talked about this, so it's nothing new, but yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day, and be well.